green sunfish and their predators at Mason Lake, Irvine, California. This is my Field Notes series number 18. This YouTube video offers new information, photographs and videos, and predation events related to green sunfish at William R. Mason Regional Park in Irvine, Orange County, California. Additionally, I will summarize key points from my previous videos discussing the history of the lake and its fishing background. Today, fishing is not permitted in the park. Today is May 10th, 2026. A note on the photography. All of the sunfish above water, I will photograph underwater as well. Photography was taken with a Nikon B700 Super Zoom camera. The subjects were not disturbed or artificially attracted or called in to my position. I handheld the camera for most of the videos and photos. The media has not been edited except for some image and video cropping, and some adjustments to brightness and contrast was made. Videos taken underwater were done with a Gisquilix fish finder camera IP68. The cable camera has a wide-angle fixed lens, and the image is fed into a monitor/recording unit for processing. That was a new technique I learned. So here is a map you can download from the internet showing the main features of the park, and all these reference links I will add to the show notes. Mason Park History. And I'm relying on a previous YouTube, number 14 in this series, where I discussed the water quality of Mason Lake and its history. So Mason Lake is not a natural lake. It was built from 1977 to 1978 and then was opened to the public. The 9-acre lake is relatively shallow with water depths under 5 feet. It is a concrete-lined water body using recycled water. There's no lake vegetation on the lake's edge, so there's no reeds or cattails or things like that. In the past, fishing was permitted at Mason Lake. So I found, this is all online, I found an article in 1993 in the LA Times that included William R. Mason Regional Park as one of the fishing holes in Orange County fishing lakes. So it was very active then. Then in 2000, the LA Times had an article that indicated that there were several fish kills at the lake in the 1990s, and that with improving water quality, Orange County Parks plan to restock the lake with fish. That would be the first time since 1991. However, according to a 2010 thread, and all the references are below, a fish kill did happen in 2004. The lake was restocked with catfish, channel cats. In 2007, I found a birder made an observation online that the lake was stocked with fish. And then there was a 2006 strategic plan by OC Parks that considered the lake as a fishing lake, I found a 2017 Yelp review that reviewed the kids' fishing experiences near Irvine, California, and Mason Lake was one of the 10 best that was put on that website. In 2018, the OC Register, Orange County Register, had an article by Karen Klein about 6 regional OC parks, and for Mason Lake indicated that fishing also is allowed, but not as common as at some other parks. And then things seem to change. So in 2022, this website listed the fishing in Orange County, the regional parks, and Mason Regional Park was no longer on the list. And then probably a 2026 reference here on enjoyorangecounty.com, that Mason Regional Park is a popular spot for model boat sailing enthusiasts. Swimming, wading, and fishing are not permitted in the lake or creek. So, fishing at the lake, not at the present. But it is confusing. If you do an AI search, and I did this on May 7th, I did it 3 times actually. First time I did a question, fishing at William R. Mason Regional Park, and the AI return was, yes, fishing is permitted. The park features 3 interconnected lakes, east, middle, and west. Really? That are commonly fished for stocked trout and catfish. It continued by saying that catfish and trout are common catches and that there's bank fishing available. Well, that's not Mason Regional Park. I suspect that's Irvine Regional Park, which actually has an Orange City of Orange address. So AI mixed it up. That's not Mason Park. Then later in the day, I decided to repeat that, fishing at Mason Regional Park, and it says the fishing is not permitted. Okay, that's actually true. And then a little bit later, I decided to just add some words there, fishing at William R. Mason Regional Park, and now it says it is permitted. So what's the deal? Well, what I did was I sent an email to the Mason Park Regional Park office asking for an official reply and indicated I would quote it in this video. And the response on May 8th was, quote, fishing is not permitted at Mason Regional Park. The park lake is not stocked with fish and is supplied by reclaimed water. The applicable regulation is Orange County Codified Ordinance 2-5-63, which states that fishing is only allowed in specifically designated areas. And the reply continued, showed me the section about designated waters for fishing. No person shall fish or practice casting, or even practice casting, including but not limited to fly casting, in any designated park, beach, or recreational area, except in areas designated and under conditions established by the director. And that has not happened for Mason Regional Park. But Mason does have green sunfish. Some people today don't think Mason Lake has any fish, aside from mosquito fish, but that's not true, as you will see. I used 2 main references for this video, and will list several others in the show notes, and here's one of them. It's a 2009 chapter in a book, actually, and it summarized the literature on green sunfish, very detailed, and it's available online. And the second one was kind of a cute one where there was a sunfish culture guide that was put online, and had some interesting information on it that I will share. So I learned a number of factoids about the sunfish from those and other references, and I'm going to go through this quickly. So why is a sunfish called a sunfish? Well, it refers to the bright colors of breeding males of some species, and there are 30 species in the group. The original distribution of the green sunfish was native to east central U.S. And how big do they get? Well, at age 1, they can vary from 1.2 to 6.5 inches total length, with a median of 2.0 inches. And how fast do they mature? Well, they could mature in 1 to 3 years at a minimum size of about 1.8 to 3.0 inches total length. So most of these fish are relatively small, but they could get as large, I think, as 12 inches. They are have a lot of adaptation to bad water conditions. Green sunfish are tolerant of high turbidity, and those of you who have been at Mason know that the water is not clear. I think it's getting less green than it used to be, but it's pretty turbid. Low dissolved oxygen in the water, high alkalinity, and high water temperatures. The food, the adults are solitary ambush predators. They have a very large mouth. They eat a lot of things. And the adult diet consists primarily of aquatic insects, fish tadpoles, or crayfish. Now, there are some crayfish in Mason Lake. I've seen them in the bill of birds, but I've not seen them at the edge of the lake, although I've looked quite a bit for them. The young transition from microcrustaceans to large invertebrates and fish. So the young rely on the yolk sac to begin with, and then they get these almost microscopic crustaceans like Daphnia, I think, and some others to grow. I asked AI, how long do they live? And the answer is, green sunfish typically live 4 to 6 years in the wild, though some populations can live up to 7 to 10 years. These hardy fish, which are among the longer-lived panfish, often reach sexual maturity around 3 years of age. Green sunfish are an invasive species. They're an invasive species. As far as I know, there are now 4 invasive species in Mason Lake. There is the radiated slider. There's a subspecies of the yellow-bellied slider. There is a single spiny softshell, and there's another turtle species from the Appalachian, a single one. So we have 4 invasive species. And actually, some of those are non-invasive. The slider is, and then I'm going to add to that the red swamp crayfish, and now we have this sunfish as well, and we have the American bullfrog. Those are the invasive species. So we have a lot of interesting species here, but it's certainly not a natural native population of species. So what is an invasive species? Well, invasive species are non-native plants, animals, or pathogens that thrive in new environments, causing significant environmental, economic, or human health harm. Unlike merely non-native species, invasives disrupt ecosystems by outcompeting native wildlife, reducing biodiversity, and destroying habitats. And yes, green sunfish is considered an invasive species in California. Originally from the central United States, they were introduced for sport fishing but are now widespread in California, where they are known to outcompete native fish, prey on eggs and young, and harm native amphibians. So I finally saw green sunfish, aside from being in the bill of predators, in April of this year. And I started to follow their life history and interested in their mating behavior in this spring. And I found out that green sunfish spawn from May to August in shallow, sandy, or gravel-bottomed, saucer-shaped nests created by males. That habitat isn't that common on the edge of the lake, of Mason Lake. Males aggressively defend these nests, attracting multiple females to spawn. And I'll show you a defense later. With eggs hatching in 2 to 5 days. These fish are prolific breeders, often hybridizing with bluegill, which I don't think are in this lake. So some more factoids. Males construct and defend a well-defined depression, a circular-shaped nest. Males most frequently rush toward an interloper with a quick retreat to the nest, so they're very territorial. Male leading or guiding courtship behaviors are seen in the species, and I'll show you an example of this. And the species shows colony nesters. They nest in aggregation. So where you find one of these male guarding a depression, there's probably others close by. Males become brilliantly colored during the mating season, which helps attract the females. Spawning events are synchronous in colonies. They're all in step, occurring at intervals of 8 to 9 days over the spawning season. Males may nest 5 or more times in succession during this period, providing they're not picked off by predators. And female sunfish can produce 2,000 to 10,000 eggs per spawn. Now, I don't know if that's per event or per season. So where is their nesting location at Mason Lake? Where is this soft, sandy, gravelly area? Well, I haven't rigorously checked the entire lake edges for sunfish in April and May, but I did find territorial males on the south side of the lake edge, immediately on either side of the bridge. Let me show you a picture of that. So here is a picture of the bridge, an iconic bridge, on May 6th and 7th. You notice there are boulder fields on either side of the ends of this bridge, and that's where sediment tends to accumulate. And here I'm looking straight down at the edge of Mason Lake from the bridge. And I'm interested in this area here because there was a territorial male defending a depression. I think it eventually got picked off by a green heron. And a close-up of this area, I think this is actually a video, and let's run the video. Of that male, this is being taken from the bridge, looking down with my super zoom camera. There's a lot of debris on the surface, makes it difficult. This was probably taken around lunchtime, makes it easier to avoid the sun bouncing off the water surface. And I probably added a polarizing lens to the camera. And it's defending the area. If there are eggs there, it's aerating the eggs, and it will also defend the small fry when they come out. The female is chased away from this area, and intruders are as well. I don't see mosquito fish in this area. I think they chases those away as well. Okay, I'm going to show you next one of 2 mating dances I photographed. And in order to show you this, I've brightened the video by 10% and increased the contrast by 50%. Otherwise, this would appear as a very dark video. So I did a little bit of a compromise here so you can see this. The male is on the outside. They go in circles guarding the female, and the female is producing eggs. The other video I have of this shows actually more behaviors of the male, cleaning up the nest, driving away other individuals. So next I'm going to show you some underwater videos taken underwater, showing the aggression of these fish. I also want you to note that there are not only bubbles coming up, but apparently microcrustaceans moving laterally in the water column. So here is a view looking at the edge. This is a little bit farther away from the bridge, and this is my camera. It is on a cable. It's actually on a platform. You'll see this in more detail in a second. There's a cable that runs out to the monitor, and I also have a string attached to the clamp. And this is a close-up view of this. You see how turbid the water is. That is a clamp that's usually used for tripod clamps and that sort of thing. And the camera is looking into this area. I noticed that there were sunfish there, so I set the camera up and just took a lot of video. And I'm going to show you 2 segments of what I saw. There is a fish, by the way, that is in this picture. So here, May 9th, I'm going to show this in actual speed, a movie taken with the underwater fish finding camera. There's going to be a defense against probably large mosquito fish, first at actual speed, then slowed to 1/8 time. And this is going to happen very quickly. So here are these mosquito fish. Up, you see that? It almost looked like the sunfish went and ate them, but the intruders actually detected the fish coming, and then they separated. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this slowed down 1/8. You see there's a lot of things moving around here. A lot of bubbles, but I think a lot of them are small organisms. Now the next segment is also going to be shown first at actual speed. This will show 2 fish interacting in front of the camera. There's actually, I think, a third one distant in the scene. So let's play this at actual speed. I think this is the resident, the territorial male, and chases away an intruder. And I'm going to play this at 1/8 speed. Remember, this is a wide-angle lens, tends to distort distance here. You can see there's a fish in the very top as well. But here comes a intruder on the left. Now resident is going to turn around. Probably doesn't go too far. And then will come back and attack the intruder. It will attack females. It'll attack males, especially if it's guarding the eggs. Might even have its mouth open. Okay, an interesting technique. I might try and figure out how to use it on other videos. I want to show you next 3 situations where the green sunfish was a prey of a predator. And one of these is new. The other 2 I've shown in previous videos. So on July 25th, 2025, I noticed a pied-billed grebe with a fish in its mouth. Whenever I see a bird, a predator with something in its mouth, I try and get a photograph of that. And it confused me. I couldn't quite figure out what the species was. I thought it might be a carp, and I mentioned that in previous videos. I said I wasn't sure about the identification and asked for corrections. I got no input on that, but now I think that that's probably a sunfish. It's probably a green sunfish. And what I'm going to show you next, which I haven't shown on any of the previous videos, is the video of the capture, or at least the swallowing of that sunfish. And the previous slide you saw was a frame from this video. Then on November 19th, the previous one was during the breeding season, but on November 19th, again, a pied-billed grebe had a sunfish in its bill. And this is a frame from that video, And what made it interesting was that another grebe was closely following it and trying, obviously, to get some food out of the original capturer. And the video will show you this. There was a number of videos I took. In the second one, we got closer and closer. Finally, the first one with the fish in its mouth dove. You can see here. And then when it came up, there was no fish anymore. So they must have released it, and the fish swam away. So I think we've established that pied-billed grebes are a predator on green sunfish. Then on May 2nd, 2026, while looking at that territorial male by the bridge, a green heron appeared along the rocks, and a little bit farther found another green sunfish and swallowed it. This was a father sunfish from the bridge. And I took some still photos, and then I switched to video. So this is a video of the green heron, which is a small heron. Notice that this is an urban park. There's a deflated balloon in the picture there. It didn't take long to swallow that. And I think eventually this green heron probably got the sunfish closest to the bridge as well, because it wasn't there the following day. So as you have seen, there still are fish in Mason Lake other than mosquito fish. You just have to know when and where to look for them. And around the bridge was a good one. I think there are probably at least a half a dozen territorial males. One on the west side and 6 on the east side of that bridge. So I hope you enjoyed YouTube number 18 of the Mason Field Notes series. This has been another of my JDW talks. I have YouTube talks on genealogy topics. I'm well known for my databases and for census research. Talked about Ellis Island and immigration and naturalization. I have a lot of natural history topics, virtual birding field trips, birding optics, California birds, and since I've been a resident close to Mason Park, I've created this Mason Park Nature Notes series, and then some miscellaneous YouTube videos. So I hope you join the over 1,000 people on my channel, and if you go to Mason Park armed with more information, it should increase your enjoyment of this urban park. Bye-bye.